So after watching Antony's performance against Wolves, I am massively concerned and I fear he could be a liability in the front three this season. I'm going to go through a few examples and you'll see just how bad his decision making was in this game, and once I compare him to another Premier League right winger, you'll see just what United's attack is missing by having this lack of quality on the right flank. I also did a video on the Wolves game breaking down why United struggled in possession, particularly looking at Mason Mount and Casemiro, so I'll leave that linked in the description if you want to check it out after this video. But before I go any further, remember to subscribe to the channel and check out my Patreon podcast, which will be linked below. But also, if you want cheap, good quality football jerseys for the new season or retro jerseys from the past 40 years, then check out jerseyfifa.com. A link will be in my Instagram bio, and if you use coupon code Atlantis, you should get a discount as well. I'll leave my Instagram at the top of the description and comment section, and a link will be in my Instagram bio. But whilst United did struggle to play through Wolves during settled possession, they did have some joy in transitioning the attack quickly when there was a turnover. However, I thought it was the two wide players, Garnacho and in particular Antony, who were the cause of a lot of United's attacks breaking down in the first half. Here we see that Onana plays a line breaking pass from inside his own box. Mount should probably move to the ball a bit quicker as it does get intercepted, but as the ball breaks for Casemiro, he plays a wonderful pass which not only gets the ball in behind Lamina and the midfield line, but also in behind Al Nouri, the left back, releasing Antony, and you can see here that United have a 4v3 situation as Antony's carrying the ball into the Wolves half with a 2v1 on the far side. Now from this position, Rashford makes a perfect run, which should be a decoy run as he's dragging Dawson away, opening up the space on the inside for Antony to move into and look to take advantage of the 2v1 on the far side. But this type of situation is exactly what I mean when I talk about Antony's poor decision making, as really here he has to go to the far side, but he plays a pass into Rashford, who to be honest I don't think was expecting the pass, and he gets forced into a wide position, creating a pretty low probability shooting position, when if Antony had gone to the far side with Bruno Fernandes, United would have had a 2v1 situation against Semedo with Garnacho and Fernandes. And this is another example of Antony's poor decision making earlier on in the game, and it starts with United actually pressing quite well. You can see that Kilman is being forced onto the left side by Garnacho, and Antony is actually positioned perfectly, cutting off the pass down the line, whilst also being in a position close enough to Kilman so that when the centre-back overruns the ball, he's able to put in a strong challenge and win the ball back in Wolves' defensive third. And this is exactly the type of pressing situation that United need to be able to take advantage of. As Antony's racing forward with the ball, you can see that the obvious pass is to Bruno Fernandes, as the runs of both Rashford and Mount are being tracked, whereas Lamina is in a 2v1 or even a 3v1 situation. And so Antony should just carry the ball forward, and if Lamina commits to him, he can release Fernandes into a 1v1, and if he follows Fernandes, Antony has the space to cut inside into a shooting position around the box. As the play moves on, and you can see Lamina has committed towards Antony, turning his back on Fernandes, and you can see the obvious pass is just to slide the ball down the side of Lamina, releasing Bruno Fernandes, who can play the ball across the box for the on-running Rashford. However, yet again, Antony takes too long to play the pass, and then instead of going for the harder pass to release Rashford, he instead goes for the pass into Mount, essentially wasting United's opportunity of getting in behind the Wolves' backline in their box. Here's another example around 18 minutes into the game as Casemiro plays a switch of play out to Antony on the right side. And you can see as Antony controls the ball that he has a massive amount of space in front of him. And from here what he should be trying to do is drive forward and push the fullback backwards into the Wolves box, before then looking to drive down the outside and put a cross into the box, or if the space is there, cut inside and look to release a shot with his left. But Antony actually chooses to slow down the play a little bit, which is his style of play, and this allowed Aaron Wan-Bissaka to provide a fantastic underlapping run, not just providing Antony with a pass in behind the Wolves backline, but also dragging Matheus Nunes away from that space that Antony wants to cut into. And this is exactly what Antony does. However, when he does cut inside into this area, he's far too indecisive about what he should do next, and he ends up taking too many touches, and the Wolves players are able to swarm back behind the ball, forcing Antony to recycle the attack by going backwards. And there were so many examples of Antony's poor decision making in the final third in the first half that I can't even put all of them in this video, but I thought that throughout the first half, despite United struggling in some parts of the game, they had a lot of opportunities, particularly when they transitioned the attack quickly, to open up Wolves and create some good chances. However, Antony on the right and Garnacho on the left were just terrible in their decision making from the flanks, often either hanging onto the ball for too long or trying a pass that isn't on. And whilst I was watching Antony and Garnacho in this game, they appeared very one-dimensional, seemingly always wanting to come back inside onto their stronger foot, and because of Antony's lack of a weak foot and Garnacho's lack of strength, neither one can really go down the outside of the fullback, making it quite easy and predictable for the defender to defend. And whilst this may sound like a simplistic solution, I think United should solve this issue by switching Antony to the left side. For Garnacho, I think he's probably still better on the left side until he bulks up a bit, as the area in which he struggles with most is when he goes down the outside and he has to go body to body with the fullback, which in most cases he does struggle in. However, in the next 2 or 3 years, when Garnacho does eventually improve his upper body strength, as we saw Ronaldo develop during his time at United, switching Garnacho over to the right side and having him run down the outside of fullbacks and being able to get into positions where he can put in crosses could actually benefit United's system as a whole. But for Antony, I think he has to be used on the left side. I think on the right flank when he receives the ball, he's just far too predictable. This was the case throughout most of last season with Antony, and whilst I was prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt, I think now that he's in his second season, we really have to start judging him at the level that United need. Because at this moment in time, I think United have a serious lack of quality coming from their right side. And just look at the attacking quality of the left side compared to the right. On the left side, you've got Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw and usually Marcus Rashford, as well as Bruno Fernandes, who we often see starting on the left side as well. Lisandro Martinez in possession is fantastic, having the long range and incisive passing ability to progress the ball forward, whether this is finding players between the lines or switching play over to the other flank. Luke Shaw also has a decent passing range as well and can carry the ball forward and is a crossing threat in the final third. Marcus Rashford provides those penetrating runs in behind the back line, getting into goal scoring positions, and Bruno Fernandes is probably United's most creative player, and so you can see just how much quality in possession United have from the left. However, from the right side you've got Wan-Bissaka and Rafael Varane, who whilst they aren't terrible in possession, they're certainly nowhere near as good as Luke Shaw or Lisandro Martinez on the other side. And with Antony ahead of those two on the right, United don't have that elite level ability in the final third, as they did last season with Marcus Rashford. And whilst I think that Mason Mount can be a great source of creativity from the right, players like Bruno Fernandes and Martin Odegaard to me are just on a completely different level. And I think that's why the opposition seem content to shuttle United out to the flank, specifically the right side, because they know that with Wan-Bissaka and Varane in those deeper positions, United don't have the passing ability to progress the play forward as they do from the left, and with Antony and Mason Mount ahead rather than Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford on the left, United's creative threat in the middle third and the final third is significantly reduced. And I think we can perfectly see just how much quality United are lacking on their right flank by looking at the quality that someone like Mo Salah provides for Liverpool. Here we see Alexis Mac Allister plays a long pass out to Salah on the right side, very similar to the passes that we saw Casemiro playing out to Antony against Wolves. And like Antony in the Wolves game, Mo Salah receives the ball and is faced up in a 1v1 situation. But unlike Antony, who's very predictable, Mo Salah's dribbling ability gives him the option of either going down the line and bursting past a defender, or cutting inside onto his left foot. And that all comes down to his significantly better ball control compared to Antony being able to shift the ball quickly in tight spaces, whereas I feel like Antony requires a lot more space to shift the ball, and when he is faced up with a tight defender as Mo Salah is here, he just doesn't have the footwork to be able to wrong foot the defender and burst past them. And if you think back to the examples I gave of Antony and how wasteful he was in these types of situations, when we analyse what Mo Salah does here to create the goal for Luis Diaz, you can see the stark difference in quality. Because opposition defenders know that Antony has little to no right foot, and his body positioning and movement style is very rigid, his whole dribbling technique is very predictable and you always know he wants to cut inside. However, with Mo Salah, whilst you also know he wants to come inside onto his stronger left foot, his unpredictability and ability to go down the line makes it incredibly hard for the defender to anticipate and look to stop what he's going to do. And as we see here, Mo Salah is able to come inside onto his left foot, but it's this position where you see the true difference in quality, as Antony in this sort of position either takes too many touches, which leads to the opposition defenders closing off the passing option, or he attempts a pass and gets the weight and timing completely wrong. However, Mo Salah is able to thread an inch perfect pass into the path of Luis Diaz, whose finish is fantastic as well, giving Liverpool the lead in this game. And that was the problem for United. It wasn't that they didn't have the opportunities to create chances against Wolves, particularly in the first half, they just didn't have the creative quality in the final third to actually create those sort of chances. And so to me, one of the massive problems I saw in the Wolves game was that United just have no creative ability down that right side, and this has to change. I mean, Antony's been at the club a year now, and so I think it's fair that I'm being this critical of his performances, as United need to be challenging for the title, and having Antony a part of the front three, if he's going to continue performing like this, is just going to be too much of a liability. So let me know what you think of Antony against Wolves in the description below. Give me some more video ideas, you can sign up to my Patreon. and you can also check the description for more videos as well.